Hey y'all, wanted to share with you how I launch and transport and retrieve my twin troller from my truck. So I've got a long bed truck here, so it's 8 foot long. You can see we're sticking out just a couple of feet with the deck led back, or the that down. I've got a couple of straps on here. I've got some rope running around the little handle on the top there, so that I can basically keep that tied in with this strap here that goes to 2 mounts on either side of the truck bed there. And then I've got my ramps here also kind of cinched in with some more ties, and everything fits nicely in here. Here you can see a couple of pieces of PVC that I've always got on hand if I ever need to launch the boat onto the ground first, or if I'm doing some maintenance on it or something. I'll pull it down on the ramps and put it on these pieces of PVC so that I can move it around real easy on land. And then I've got just a little step stool that I keep strapped in here as well, that I'll pull out because I like to set up the boat while it's still in the back of the truck before I go tie up the boat launch. So that's what my setup looks like going down the road. The cover stays on super well going down the road for me. The only strap I can actually get on it is this front one here that goes around the front end, but the rope cinches up tight enough, and then at the back it's kind of pushed up against the back of the truck bed to hold that side on. I've never had it even come close to coming loose going down the road. So I pretty much keep my boat completely set up, other than the pedals I don't keep in here. But otherwise, it's always in the back of my truck ready to go. It's always ready with fishing poles and tackle boxes and everything, just sitting there waiting. So I'll show you how I launch it. Okay, so the ramps I use are 10-foot ramps. I used to have 8-foot ramps, but the angle was a little too steep getting in the water, so I'd sometimes get a little water over the front of the boat. But these 2x8s work really good, about 8 feet long or 10 feet long. I go ahead and drop them right in the water. I thought they would maybe float and cause a problem there, but it works just great. I've also got these little ramp ends that I put on here that give it a nice angle and a way to grip the boat. You can see I've cut out a little bit of my bed liner here. That makes it really easy for those to drop in there and not move when the boat's coming up or down. I also really lucked out having this plastic bed liner in here, because it makes the boat slide really smoothly right out of the back of the boat, or back of the truck. This is how I have my winch set up. It's not ideal, but I didn't want to permanently mount it until I knew that this system was going to work. So actually what I've done, see if I can zoom in here a little bit. So there's the winch that I use. It is just attached through the mounting plate to some chain on either end of the front of my truck bed. So as you can see, it has some slack in it, so it actually it actually lifts up when the boat tension is on it. The other thing that was key to this is that I put this eye bolt, mounted it right through the back of the transom. That gives me a great point to attach the winch to launch it. I also ended up updating to a remote control unit to run this, because it was much easier, or it is much easier, to just stand down here by the ramps and kind of guide it up and down the ramp with using a remote, rather than kind of running back and forth between a control on the winch itself. So I'm alone, so it's a little hard to do this holding a phone, so I'll try to get a shot of it as it's coming down the ramp. All right, so this is me lowering it. We can see it's extending out from the ramp here, starting to go, or extending out from the winch, starting to head down the ramp. But at this point, I don't even have to push it or slide it along or anything. The weight of it just takes it right down into the water. Sometimes I forget to put my cord up in the boat and it gets nice and wet. We'll do that now. Sometimes I have to just adjust it a little bit, make sure it stays on the ramp going down, but it's pretty good. And we're off and running. I always let out plenty of slack here because I know I'm going to need to hook this back up to the boat to bring it up the ramp. So I just run out a bunch of slack before I undo the latch from the back end and head out. So before I head out, I thought I'd show you a couple of other things in case you're interested about how I've modified this boat. Nothing, too unusual. Love this little table that mounts here. Super adjustable, comes in super handy. Whoops, zoomed in. Sorry, I'm not great with my phone. Zoom back out there. I've got this under-seat storage there that I built for a couple of tackle boxes. I've added these little magnets in here, one inside each of the cup holders. As you probably know, those cup holders aren't deep enough to really hold a cup. I'm still in search of a cup or a mug with a magnetic base on it, so I can just throw it in there. But what I ended up using it a lot for is when I've got a fishing lure I just need to drop real quick for whatever reason, I can throw them right in that cup holder and it'll just magnetize right to that magnet and not go anywhere. So that's come in real handy. Well, it's kind of a mess right now, but and then also, this is probably the most unique thing I've done here, is this rescue ladder that I put here in the back. If I ever need it, just folds down, drops into the water, pop that off, and it extends down into the water. Hopefully I'll never need it, but I'm kind of a bigger guy, so if I ever find myself in the water, I'm not sure I'd have the ability to throw myself up over the side of it, but haven't tested this out. One of these days when it's nice and warm and I'm in a safe place, I'm going to do a little dive off this thing and see if I can actually get back in it using that ladder. But little peace of mind for me there. I think that's everything that's maybe a little bit unusual about my boat that I've added some pole holders and things like that, but other than that, pretty well stocked. Wanted to show you a little more of this little table that I just love. I've mounted to it a cell phone holder, so I've actually taken work meetings out here on the boat because I could log in on my phone that way, and then I've just got a little cell phone holder here that I've tagged to that as well. I'm sure there's other things I'll add to this at some point. The other thing I've done that I really like is just having a towel like this. I just went and got some lanyard holders, like things you connect a lanyard to and then put it on your belt or whatever. So that's just attached to the seat, so it's hanging right below. Anytime I need it, boom, pull that out, I've got it, let go, and it just zips right back into a spot. So a couple of tiny little things that make a big difference out here in the water. All right, so we're bringing the boat in. It's got a little windy out here, so hopefully you can hear me okay. But see, I got the ramp set up the same way. It doesn't take that far into the water. I'm almost always able to do this without stepping into the water at all. But at this point, this is why I had the extra slack on my hitch line. So I just switch that out for my regular anchor rope, throw that in the boat. The trickiest part, I don't know if I'm going to be able to show you this one-handed or not, is getting it to line back up on the ramps. But I basically pull it up tight like that, keep some tension on it while I pull the slack out of the winch, and then it's ready to go up. So I'll show you that here in a second. All right, so I've got the slack line out of the winch now, and I'm just ready to hit my remote, start pulling it up. My favorite part is when all the water comes out from underneath as it's coming up. I should mention too, I started with a winch that had the cable tie, and it was just a pain. Any kind of slack in that line, the cable got all bunched up around the winch and was pretty much unusable. So I switched it out for the rope, and that tends to be a lot more forgiving. Oh, sorry about my poor videoing skills here. So anyway, yeah, sometimes I have to stop and just adjust it as it's coming up, but for the most part, it just pulls on up. Like here, I'll just slide it over a little bit. Hard to do one-handed, but usually with two hands I just guide it right up. Back up here here so you can see it go on. Then because it does have a little bit of slack in the chain here, I just watch it and bring it up as close as I can. Then I just leave that connected as basically a safety line in case my line across the bow, like I showed you at the beginning, ever comes loose. The boat's not getting out of the trailer anyway, or out of the truck, because I've got that pretty well hardwired to the back end. So that's the way she works. Pretty darn slick. All right, and here I am all packed up and ready to call it a day again. One quick note, if I could ask that maybe we get a whole bunch of comments saying, well, just get a trailer. Obviously, trailers are easier. I know that. If I was in a situation where I could use a trailer, I would, and I think most people would, but not everybody can either afford one or have space requirements to use it, and that's where I'm at. I have no place to park a trailer on my property, so this is my solution, and it's a heck of a lot better than never getting out in this boat. So there you have it.